Welcome to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we feature top founders and entrepreneurs and their journey. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I'm one of the co-hosts of this show, and every week we have interesting CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And this episode, before we get into it, is brought to you by EO San Francisco. EO San Francisco is the Bay Area chapter of Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a global peer-to-peer network of more than about 20,000 influential business owners across 200 chapters, 61 countries. And if you are the founder, co-founder, or controlling shareholder of a company that generates over $1 million a year in revenues, you want to connect with other like-minded successful entrepreneurs, EO is for you. And the EO San Francisco chapter, which I've been a member of for about 5 years now, enables leading entrepreneurs in the Bay Area to learn, grow, and achieve greater success. If you want to learn more about what we do, you can go check us out at eonetwork.org/San Francisco. And I am the co-founder of Rise25. Our company helps B2B businesses to get clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships with done-for-you podcasts and content marketing. And you can learn more about us and what we do in our platform Podcast Copilot at rise25.com. All right, my guest here today is Ryder Meehan. He is the co-founder of Upgrow, which is a performance-driven digital marketing agency focused on helping B2B companies to accelerate growth through data-backed SEO, SEM, and LinkedIn ads strategies. Over 15 years of experience in digital marketing and held leadership roles at Samsung Mobile, Fossil, and Tatcha. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, and other major brands before he launched Upgrow. And we're going to get into his background. So, Ryder, pleasure to have you here today. And I'd love to get to know people and what they were like as a kid, and any particular entrepreneurial ventures that they engaged in. And you had this idea to buy and sell masks around Halloween time and sell them at school. I've heard lots of stories of like people selling gum at school, getting busted by the teacher. I've heard selling weed at school, getting busted by the principal, but not masks.
Well, John, thanks for having me. Yeah, I was always like scheming, and I really tried to pay a lot of attention to, what is an opportunity? Where is there demand that nobody's sort of like meeting that need? And so I knew, on Halloween, if I forget my costume or I'm not dressed up for whatever, and I see everybody else wearing it, like I really am sort of like desperate and the need is there. So if somebody's offering me a $2 mask that they pay 25 cents for, then I could make a pretty good margin on that. So I always filled my school bag full of like cheap Halloween masks and then sold those throughout the day.
And never got busted for it?
No, I mean, I guess the teachers didn't seem to mind.
And what drove that? And the reason I ask that is because sometimes people grew up with an entrepreneurial parent that taught them that. Other times it's more self-motivated. Sometimes it's they didn't grow up a lot of money and they just wanted to make money, so they had money in their pocket. What motivated it?
Yeah, I would say, my parents weren't particularly entrepreneurial. What motivated me was I never seemed to have money. I didn't get an allowance or anything. So I was just sort of like, if I want to buy baseball cards, if I want to get go get junk food after school, I wanted just a little bit of extra money. So I was just sort of like trying to come up with ways to get a little bit of money for, kid activities.
Yeah, makes sense. And so you studied marketing in school, and this was around the time period of the early 2000s growth, and you were, I guess, you were watching the Bay Area, watching San Francisco, and kind of seeing all these different tech companies that are growing, and it excited you enough to try and make your way to the Bay Area.
Yeah, I remember seeing like a People magazine and it had Sergey and Larry, the founders of Google, on it. And I like read that and I was like, oh, these like nerds are just like so cool now. It was finally like our time to shine. Yeah, I mean, I joined an agency there in Dallas, and they were sort of launching their digital arm of their traditional agency. And so I became a part of that little department and just like totally fell in love with the immediate gratification of how you can drive leads immediately, you can generate traffic. And at that time, it was like comparatively easy. to how it is now, just like not that much competition and you could just get insane ROIs. So I
Mm.
was just like immediately intoxicated by the industry. And I just wanted to be at the hub of where it was happening at that time. And even now around Silicon Valley and San Francisco.
And what made the leap for you to the Bay Area? How did you get yourself here?
Yeah. So I was trying to get a job at Google. I never was able to pull that off. I got into some like interviews, but could never like get over the edge. I did get,
What was the experience like of interviewing at Google?
oh my God. It was I probably had this was like in 2002.
Oh, so super early.
Yes, it was pretty early. I mean, they were still like huge back then. Um, but I had like 4 or 5 interviews. They were sort of waffling, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to fly out there on my own dime. I really want it. Like I wasn't even interviewing anywhere else. I was like totally like I got to work at Google. That's the place." So I fly myself out there. They put me through like it's probably 4 or 5 more in-person interviews. They gave
Oh.
me all assessments and quizzes and stuff. I think I did okay in the interviews, but I like bombed the tests and stuff and like writing
Mm.
it just wasn't my strength.
Oh, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. But, life takes you in a different direction, right?
Yeah. So I ended up getting a gig at Razorfish, which is like I think the biggest digital agency at that time. So we had Apple clients like
Mm.
Apple and Microsoft later and other Walmart.com, etc.
And what was that like working at an agency that had such high profile clients?
It was really awesome. I think the advantage of that is like you have one, maybe 2 clients. So you really know them well. You know their industry, you know their ideal client. You're not trying to juggle calls with, 10 or 12 different clients of smaller companies. But at the same time, I think the drawback is that it can get stagnant. So 3 or 4 years working on, one Google Ads account, one SEO account, it can kind of feel repetitive.
Yeah, yeah. So you end up kind of getting burnt out from the corporate world. What was that like? Was there a catalyst or some incident that happened that led you to say, I'm done with this?
Yeah, so I had maybe 12 to 13 years in corporate, had a series of gigs. The last role, I really, again, like really liked that kind of startup company. So at that time, I was maybe the 10th employee at a skincare startup called Tatcha. Now they're huge. They got acquired by Unilever for like $500 million a few years ago. Unfortunately, I didn't
Mm.
have equity or anything. Um, but I just like loved that ride of, you're at the 10 people, just like super scrappy. Any crazy marketing idea you have is sort of like on the table and probably going to get done versus like you're just making corporate, you're just like, pitching and trying to convince and, 1 out of 10 things actually get done. At the startup level, it's just, hey, let's just like get crazy and creative. So I really love that. That company did grow up, and became obviously a little more structured than the early days.
Hmm.
When I left, I was thinking like, hey, I got to do my own startup. Maybe I'll join a startup because I just like love that energy and freedom of the startup phase.
Yeah. And so, but you didn't end up doing that. You ended up having people coming to you after you left the corporate world and started asking you for a few hours a week, basically consulting on marketing.
Yeah, that's right. In a way, it sort of scratched the itch of, here's a new client, a new challenge. A lot of the clients I took on when I first started consulting were those early stage type of startups where, you don't have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of resources, you have to start getting growth like relatively quickly. So I really thrive and enjoy that type of environment.
Yeah. And then you meet your co-founder and you it kind of decide that it's going to become a full-fledged agency or rather, I don't know if anyone decides that they're going to become a full-fledged agency. It just kind of one thing leads to another, right?
Yeah, so I had 4 or 5 clients. Danny, my co-founder, he's also an EO in San Diego. But he had 4 or 5 clients, and so we were like, let's join up, let's hire a couple of junior people together, and really think about how can we make this bigger than ourselves? Like, how can we build a brand, build out a company under the umbrella of the brand that we have, and we came up with Upgrow as a name, and that was 7+ years ago.
And was he always in San Diego, or were you guys ever in the same city
Oh, he was here in San Francisco at that time. He moved to San Diego a couple of years ago.
after COVID?
Kind of during near the tail end.
Yeah, yeah, and talk about COVID because a lot of agencies had a weird kind of roller coaster experience with that.
Yeah, we definitely did. We kind of call it our Nike swoosh in terms of we
It
had
go down first and then up.
it went
Yeah.
down in like March of 2020. And then like 2 months later, it's like we couldn't hire fast enough. We could barely like cash the checks that were coming in. So we went from 7 or 8 people to like almost 30 people. Um, and yeah, we really rode that wave. And I'm glad we were kind of just in position to catch all of the COVID money and all the marketing that used to be offline was just like shoved online in a matter of
hmm
months. And we were just in the right place at the right time and doing good work for our clients.
And for you, did you experience the backside of that? Because there were a lot of agencies that then around 2024 timeframe where the COVID money cut off, or it was kind of an economic slowdown, or it's a presidential election year, and a lot of agencies and companies struggled that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely felt it. I think there was kind of a hangover period of, uh, interest rates were going up. We're very focused on the tech industry. Tech industry is very focused on, debt and lending. So, yeah, our clients and the companies that we target were sort of struggling, and that impacted us too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the good and the bad of especially the Bay Area economy is that there's definitely boom and bust cycles that always happens. Talk a little bit about Open Sky credit card. This is a credit card, a client that you worked with that was for people that have bad credit.
Yeah, I like this. I like this story or this case study because it's a little bit different. Just for some background, Open Sky makes credit cards that are called secure cards that are basically for people that can't qualify because they have bad credit to get normal credit cards. And so the way they work is more like a debit card where you prepay a balance and then that's your limit for the month. So you can build your credit that way. All right, so basically they had a landing page that was funneled from traffic like creditcards.com or Wallet Hub, etc., of people that were declined from normal credit cards would come to this landing page. And so they were getting 100,000 plus visitors to this page, but it was converting really poorly, like around 1%. But it was a super basic page. So we totally rebuilt it, and it was more about the language and the message than it was about the design.
And how did you figure out that what the language and the messaging should be?
Yeah, we just try to think through, what is the mental state of someone that's just said like, "Hey, you're not good enough for this credit card." You're feeling a little bit dejected and frustrated. So we really tried to use softer language. We wanted to highlight like, "Hey, here's the opportunity," and then use that classic messaging framework of like problem, solution, outcome where like, hey, you have this problem, you have bad credit. The solution is this card. This is how it works, and this is how your life is awesome after you solve these problems. Like, you can get the home loan, you can get the auto loan, you can get the credit you need every month, and then also integrating a lot of what we'll call like trust signals, where it's like, we have this high rating score on this site. We have over 100,000 clients. We have, just sort of like looking legit it really goes a long way when somebody doesn't know your brand.
And what kind of results did that result in after implementing those changes?
Yeah, so within a month, we more than doubled their conversion rate. And that is a huge impact when you have the amount of traffic that page was getting.
Yeah,
And without spending any more on media or putting a whole lot of effort other than rebuilding the landing page into it.
that's crazy. Um, and you mentioned that it's gotten a lot harder today than it was 15 years ago to get attention online. What are some different strategies that you employ or that you recommend for your clients today?
Yeah, I think, back then, people used to call Google like the yellow pages of online, where,
Hmm.
okay, you need a plumber, you just go to Google, it says, hey, we're a plumber, click here, call a phone number, and then, that's the sale. So you didn't really have to position, differentiate, message, have any unique selling propositions, limiting beliefs of your audience, know their pain points. It's like, you want thing, we have thing, click here to get thing. Now it's there's a lot more competition. Everybody knows that Google and SEO are a thing. So to stand out and differentiate and get your CPC down, you really have to think about messaging, think about your audience, and then also just like take the time to look at the search results page. What are other people saying there? Like, what are you up against? If you have a coffee cup that's $10 and someone else is advertising the $5 coffee cup, you're probably going to be losing that sale. So just being really aware of what's going on the SERP page, really thinking through what problems are you particularly solving, and then thinking about like what are the challenges and goals of your audience. So like when we started Google Ads campaign, we don't like jump right into Google Ads and just start turning things on. Like we go to Reddit, we go to our clients' reviews. We ask our clients 100 questions to build what we call a brand brain market research document. So it's like 20 pages of, this is how we're different. This is how we're better. These are the problems our audiences have. And so then we pull from that to start coming up with our landing pages, coming up with our messaging, coming up with the audiences that we target and the keywords we go after.
Yeah. And how is AI affecting all of this for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think in some ways there's a lot of slop out there now, like AI slop. So it's become noisier. It's really quick and easy to churn out 100 pages. I think I read that like 60% of the internet now is created by AI, and it's only been around for a couple of years. So I can
Wow.
imagine what it's going to be in a few more years from now. Um, but I think it's all about responsible use and proper use, and then refining your prompts and using it really effectively. So if I just go to ChatGPT and I say, "Hey, give me some Google ad copy for my coffee cup," it will give you very derivative, boring copy because it's just based on everything else that's out there. But a big part of the reason we build these brand brain documents is to feed AI. So then it has all the context of, hey, this is every way that we're different. These are all the awards that we have. These are all the testimonials and the reasons people like us. So when AI has all of that content, it will actually beat a human writer like 9 times out of 10 because it's hard for a human writer to sort of like remember all that information and digest all the information like AI can. Now you still need a human to edit it and go that like last mile with content, but it's a huge advantage for people that use it responsibly and people that are using it effectively and consistently.
And I was interviewing someone yesterday talking about AI, and we were speculating about what, will happen for it in the future. And, the last 15 years or so, we've been in this model where everything's free. Google's free, Gmail's free, Google Maps are free. And at least in the short term, it looks like there's kind of this model where like some of the AI tools will have a free model, or you can get like have a paid subscription. And we don't really know, like, will, ChatGPT eventually have ads inserted into the responses? I can't really imagine that being the case. What are your thoughts on all this? Do you think that we go back to more of an advertising model, or do you think that we will, enter a future where everyone will have to have, a $20 a month or whatever it is, subscription to your favorite AI tool, and you'll just use that?
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point, OpenAI and Anthropic, et cetera, will have to start making a lot more money than they are currently, because I think they're kind of bleeding a lot of money. So, I mean, I would think they'll make more of it from enterprise sales than they would like advertising on the user interface. So they'll probably come up with more products that enterprises will use and more advanced features. Um, I don't know about the $20 a month, like how many people would actually be willing to pay for that, especially at how generous the free plan is.
Mm.
But at the same time, they've got a ton of competition, right? There's
Hmm.
so many LLMs and so many of them are free.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know what it'll be like in the future. Any other like highlights or lowlights um, from Upgrow over the last few years with all the ups and downs in the market? What have been some of the challenges that you've been focused on?
Yeah, I think AI definitely brings challenges and opportunity. Um, on the opportunity side, kind of like I said, like it's so much quicker and easier to get to draft stage content, to generate so much more audience, to do your research more deeply and more quickly than you have. But at the same time, you know, maybe we can't charge as much as we used to for content when we know a lot of clients can get pretty good content with LLMs or with agencies that are leveraging it to put it out more quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, yeah. Ryder, this has been great. Where can people go to learn more about you and Upgrow?
Yeah, so our website's upgrow.io. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Again, my name is Ryder Meehan.
All right, Ryder, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Rising Entrepreneurs Podcast. This episode is powered by Rise 25. Please subscribe and check out future episodes.